Welcome to the latest roundup of news and polls from Ipsos MORI, and with Afghanistan at the centre of our news and indeed our parliamentary debate this week, we've looked at public opinion on the war in Afghanistan and the actions of both Britain and America. And what we've found is that the public are divided over whether it was right or wrong for Britain to pull out, but are much more critical of the United States' actions. 47% say it was the wrong decision. What's interesting is that when we look at our opinion polling in America, over 6 out of 10 Americans say that Joe Biden has done the right thing in sticking to the withdrawal plans that Donald Trump had originally agreed, and both Republicans and Democrats support the decision. But interestingly, his ratings as a president, perhaps because of the defeat effectively in the 20-year war, are actually the lowest of his time in office, but are also the lowest of any of the wartime presidents of the last 20 years at this point. So we will see how it plays out. Overall, in terms of British politics, the Conservatives retain an 11-point lead over Labour, and Boris Johnson's ratings remain much stronger than those of his main opponent. We've got 41% satisfied with Boris Johnson, only 27% with Keir Starmer. When negativity towards Keir Starmer keeps rising, he's got some real challenges on his plate. And in fact, when you look at the popularity of the government of the day, interestingly, when we look at our historical trends, the government now, perhaps helped by the vaccine bounce, which we'll come to, is actually more popular than virtually any other government at this point in its tenure in the last 40 years, except perhaps early Tony Blair governments. So not much moving in politics. Government has very little worries at the moment about losing the next election, but a week's a long time in politics. Overall, 87% of us say that the government's doing a good job on vaccinations, but interestingly, more people are positive than negative on its handling of the economy and also in keeping down unemployment, which of course fell this month. And those are two numbers I will personally be paying a lot of attention to. You can see the thing that they're really bad at, but for most people, 55% say they're doing a bad job at levelling up. And that, with their alliance of both red wall seats and prosperous Southern Conservatives, is something that they will really need to focus on. What difference have they been able to make to regional inequalities in Britain during the course of their tenure? We will see in due course. Elsewhere, we've looked at attitudes to government spending. We found that 2 in 3 of us say that we'd favour increasing national insurance to help the NHS or to pay for social care. And generally, we've got 49% say that they want the government to actually increase spending on public services, even if it means higher taxes or more government borrowing. And that, of course, reflects the fact that people are looking for a government to look after them and protect them. And although the proportion so they want higher taxes and more spending has fallen slightly since 2018, down from 66% to 49%, it's also worth remembering, of course, that the amount of government expenditure has risen dramatically. I think one other final thing on this that's interesting, the public don't actually think they will go on increasing expenditure. They tend to think it's more likely they'll actually cut it. So as with things like the cut to universal credit, we'll see exactly what happens and how well the government meets the expectations of many members, actually, of its own supporting alliance. Both Conservative and Labour voters want to see more government spending. So let's see what happens. But Rishi Sunak remains one of the most popular politicians in Britain at the moment, as he might be, the man with the money. So let's see what happens. In terms of climate change, we have record levels of overall concern when people are prompted about it. 85% of people say that it's now an issue of concern. That's up 20 points on a decade ago. And one thing I found interesting this month is the fact that we've got a much higher proportion of people saying that they are personally feeling the effects of climate change already in Britain. And that was not the case a decade ago. Will it lead to action? We'll see. The public are sceptical about how much other people are likely to change their habits in terms of what they eat or how much they fly, but certainly people acknowledge the challenge. And overall, our work in this area suggests the public wants to be led. They expect government to lead, they expect government to impose solutions, and they will probably go along with them as long as they're perceived as fair. That's all from me very briefly for this week. Other things that we've looked at you can find on our website at ipsosmori.com. We've looked at funding for the NHS. We've looked at the best banks in Britain. Who are they? Monzo reign supreme, as they have done for 3 years. And the nearest physical bank anywhere near to that, but an absolute score is not very close, is Metro Bank. So some big challenges for the banks, the traditional banks from fintech. That's all for me. Much more on the website, and I will see you very soon. Thank you.